children are drawn to things that allow them to be empowered. They want to do it themselves. One of our missions at Fundanoodle is to make sure that children love learning, and if they get excited about learning at an early age, they'll stay excited forever. My name is April Whitlock. I'm the CEO of Fundanoodle, and my job is to instill a passion for learning in preschool children. Fundanoodle is an early education platform that was designed by pediatric occupational therapists and early childhood educators. It allows children ages 3 through 6 to build the muscles of their hands and their upper body so they're ready to sit and rest and learn when they get to kindergarten. When I see those stories of kids who have been struggling developmentally of fighting to learn how to write and know that they're enjoying it and they're doing it, I'm deeply overjoyed. The early education space is a crowded market. There's lots of folks in there that have been around. And it's crowded because it's huge. Since it's enough. But what we've done at Fundanoodle is we've innovated and we've changed the way that we can also be found in classrooms across the country. Children are noticing the pattern. I believe that Fundanoodle can be the environment that is synonymous with early education. And it can help every single child. And then I believe that it will start children on the path to loving learning and embracing their education.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is April Whitlock. I'm the CEO of Fundanoodle and the founder of the Ambassador Program. And I'm so happy that you could join us tonight. What we wanted to do tonight is just have a quick 30-minute call where we introduce the more technical, I guess, concepts behind why what we are doing is so important. And as you see on the screen, what we say all the time to our parents of little learners is you need to play the right WRITE way with your children. Even though we are in an increasingly complex technical world, the basics of learning to write and all of the development and motor skills that come into play when you learn to write that are so important for just long-term development. All the iPads and screens and swiping and texting in the world will never replace that foundational learning that needs to happen in preschool and pre-K and kindergarten children. So we are recording this evening for folks who cannot join. And as I always do with our weekly calls with our sales team, I'm going to type over here in the chat window that we have started. So let me know if you cannot hear. And if you have a question tonight during the webinar, you can write it, put it over here. And at the end of the 30 minutes, we'll put the webinar in our Q&A mode. So if anyone has a question that they would like to ask, they can do so. So we will get started here. Let's see. With our presentation. So before we get started, our name Fundanoodle comes from a combination of fun, using your noodle, and fundamentals. So we put all that together to create our brand Fundanoodle that features our friends Max the monkey and Alfie his trainer. The goal behind everything we do at Fundanoodle is to make sure that children want to do this, that they don't see this as a quote unquote academic or scholarly or schoolwork type of activity, that it's something that they want to engage in. It's characters they like, it's bright colors, it's the fun name to say, it's something that makes them excited to learn. We know that technology is never going to go away, and we've completely changed the dynamic of the way our children learn, and there are so many advantages to that. But one of the biggest things to think about is that with that technology, why is it still important to develop handwriting? And when you think about it, and a child's occupation is school. For the first 20 years of their life, almost, that may be the main thing that they do is go to school and to learn. And handwriting is a critical life skill that's very much related to school. And handwriting in general can have an impact on a child, on their self-expression, on their esteem, on how they develop their reading and math skills, and ultimately for performances they have on tests. So despite the fact that, yes, as your child grows older, they may communicate more by swiping or using their thumbs or using a keyboard, developing the fine motor skills and the hand strength and the visual perception and all the little pieces that are important to being able to actually write a letter are so important to do anything learning wise um, or with their hands or fine motor skill wise in the future. So one of the things when it comes to teaching a child how to write is that it's not an easy task, as any mom will tell you, and some of you have totally experienced this, that you can't really just hand a child a pencil and have them start writing. There's so many different things that they need to do to be able to learn how to form those letters. So it's a combination of perception and visual, as well as combining language and what's going on in their mind. And some people can naturally do this. There are plenty of children who can naturally pick up a pencil and start learning how to make the straight line stroke or the curved stroke or the diagonal stroke to write letters. But for most children, they do need to be taught. It's just something, unfortunately, in our school system that they might spend in kindergarten. They might spend some significant time in the first 3 weeks of school, and then that's it. Then they're moving on. And the expectation is the child's already writing. So the expectation now, these days, is that your child is learning how to form their letters when they are 3, 4, and in a TK class, so that they're almost like when they get to kindergarten, they're just reviewing it. They should be able to perform efficiently and fluently. Then you think about all the different skills that are needed to be able to write well. It's fine motor, it's those fingers and that finger control. It's the visual, it's connecting what you see to what's happening in your hands. It's that upper body strength and the core muscles and great posture when they're writing and not being hunched over. So there's a lot of pieces that come into play when a child is learning how to write. So with Fundanoodles and with Fundanoodles products, kind of show you some examples here. What we do is we are able to take the occupational therapy piece of it, this very technical piece. When you see these words, palmar arch or open web space, or think about one dynamic side versus static side. So that's the hand they're writing is dynamic, and the other side is the static. All of that, as a mom, you really don't care about. You really aren't concerned about those technical terms. You want the end result. And so what we've been able to do at Fundanoodle is we take these very technical pieces from the occupational therapists that we've worked with, and we transfer it and transform it into our products, so that the things that we are designing, without you as a mom having to know why the child's doing this, that by using our products, they are checking off those development skills that they need to be good writers, which is a foundational skill. So things like here, this is our I Compound kit, which is clearly one of our most popular products. This kit comes with a dense foam board. It comes with safety pegs in multiple colors. And most importantly, it comes with a hammer that is top heavy. It is top heavy for a reason. So a child really has to hold on tight, working their hand strength and developing that palmar arch when they're pounding out the pages. There are a myriad of ways. We could spend the entire 30 minutes talking about how you can use this pounding kit, but it's a fun exercise that kids love to do because they get a sensory engagement. They're working on their hand-eye coordination and their visual skills. And it's just, for them, it's fun. But for you as a mom, you're knowing that, yep, I can check the box now on all these motor skill development and visual development things that need to happen when my child is playing and interacting with this activity. Same thing with our safety scissors. We have our safety scissors that work for both right and left-handed children. They are bladeless. which means you can be 110% comfortable of leaving these lying out for your child to use when they want. And that's what we encourage. We do sell the scissors with a cutting book, but what we recommend is that you start a child at the age of 3 with these scissors, and you spend time letting them cut Play-Doh and giving them a basket of old magazines or recycled paper that they can just practice the art of cutting, because it's an art and a science, and it is a skill that takes practice to acquire. So let them play and practice as much as they want. They'll feel very independent, they'll feel very confident, and when they start to master the skill, then you can introduce our cutting book that gives you specific guidelines about how to teach them to go beyond the snip into the longer straight cut. And again, with our products, here's our floor pad, which can also work on an easel. This is specially designed for the youngest little learner, that 2.5 and 3-year-old, and it gives them lots of big space to work. This is what's developmentally appropriate for them, and everything that you'll find in our product line is designed for that developmental progression. We're not trying to force children into doing a skill that their body's not ready to do, even though the teacher may want them to. We're giving them space, like this huge board, to practice big strokes and to practice straight lines in a way that works for a 3-year-old. And then, of course, when you think about a sensory integration, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but our magnets. So we have letter builder magnets in uppercase and lowercase. And again, a myriad of ways that you can use these, and you can start with young children and not even put them on a magnet surface and move all the way up. But here, a child's actually building the letter, and they're building it with different colors and different shapes. And it's a problem-solving exercise. It's a cognitive skills exercise. And because they're super strong magnets, when you use it on a magnetic surface, it is a motor skill exercise that helps a child develop all these pieces that they need. When you think about the visual, motor, and perception activities, you want to find things for your child to do that's focused on mazes or dots to dots, hidden pictures, memory games, looking at one picture and then looking at another and identifying what's missing. And so we have a series of activity books that do just that. We call them our Max and Alfie Adventure books. And we have one book in each age level. So to touch on our age levels for a second, where everything's color-coded, we have a level 1 that's orange, that's for preschool children. So we really focus 2.5 to 4 in that area. Then we have a level 2 where everything's coded blue, and we focus there on our pre-K children. So that's our 4 and 5-year-old area. And then we have a third level. Our level 3 is green, and we focus on 5 and 6-year-olds, K to first grade. The only thing that we have that goes beyond that, second grade and up, is we do have one book on cursive to kind of round out our handwriting program. But our goal at Fundanoodle is to stay hyper-focused on these children and this limited window of time that you have as a parent to be able to develop those critical motor skills and visual skills that a child needs to be successful. So when you take a look at things like our Max and Alfie activity books, or even our I Can Do Math books at each level, when you see these pieces, you can be rest assured that everything, each page, was designed in keeping in mind how can we help improve visual, motor, and perception with young children, and how can we do it in a way that A, doesn't frustrate them because it is developmentally appropriate, B, doesn't provide sensory overload. Our kids get way too much sensory thrown at them with the technology. So on purpose, all of our pages and our activity books are black and white. That allows the child to really focus on the task at hand. And if you see here in this one, we're looking at multiple steps. We're teaching them how to follow directions in multiple steps. And another great thing about black and white is it gives the child the ability to master, to make a page their own. They can add stickers, they can color it, they can do whatever they want. And as you see here with this child over here, all of our books are top-bound spiral, and that's super important because that means we work perfectly for a right-handed child or a left-handed child. Our books are going to lay flat, and there's going to be no frustration with the book binding. Moving on to another big clinical term, bilateral coordination. But really, from your perspective, what that means is get your child moving. Get those gross motor skills going. Do all kinds of things. From a mom perspective, jumping jacks and soldier march, scissor jumps, making snow angels. It's really kind of doing some boot camp with your child. Do 5 or 10 minutes a day where you're really moving. Our muscle mover cards are a huge part of contributing to this bilateral coordination. These cards are, we have them in uppercase and in lowercase, and it's 52 unique animals and activities. They're a heavy coded card. So on the back, a child uses a dry erase pen or marker to practice tracing. And then when they flip the card over, there's a fun animal and a great activity. So here, rock like a turtle, or pounce like a leopard, or even an auditory exercise where you're tweeting like a nightingale. So the kids love this because it's fun. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I get to do this great activity, which their body's craving these sensory needs. I get to do something fun. And then I can practice my letters with a dry erase pen, which is so less intimidating than a pencil and an eraser. We also recommend these can be started for super young children, just for starting to recognize the letters. Lay these out across the room like this mom's done here, and have a child go and find the letter L. And when they find it, flip it over and do the activity. So a young 3-year-old, even though they're not really ready to write yet and practice, you can still use these cards to work on recognizing letters. Put them all on the ring in a mixed up way and make it a game where they're flipping through and trying to find the letters of their name. We hear over and over again from our customers how many ways they can come up to use these and how they work with a child really from 3 to 6, because as the child gets older, if you have the uppercase and lowercase set, you can start using them to build sight words and to build words. It's almost like they're dealing cards and building words. And when they build the words, they can they can A, practice writing the word, and then B, flip it over and act out those pieces. So one of the things that you're seeing that we're doing here is not only are we allowing you to check the box on all of these important motor skill developments, but we're giving you tools that meet your child where they are and how they learn. If they're a visual learner, they can learn with our product. If they're an auditory learner, they can learn. If they're a kinetic learner, they can learn. We have a piece, each product has a piece of each of those learning styles. And so it's very easy to pull out exactly what is going to appeal to your child. So when we talk, the biggest piece of what we do, it's kind of in that foundational writing, is we really are focused on what we call sensory writing. So we believe that there are so many things that you should be doing with your child before you ever put the pencil in their hand. So we talked about our pounding kit, spending time not only just pounding out the shapes and the colors and fun things, but actually pounding out the letters, giving the child that sensory engagement that can be calming and soothing, but can also really help them visualize what the letter works like. Building that letter with our magnetic kit. Using those colors, getting that recognition of what it looks like to build those letters, and while they're doing it with those strong magnets, working on those hand muscles. And then practicing again with emotion and connecting an activity like snort like a rhinoceros, connecting an activity to a letter. And then when you've worked through all these sensory, then's the time to move to our I Can Write Letters book. We have uppercase book, a lowercase book, and we have a numbers book for 0 through 20. And all of our books incorporate the same look and feel, where we are giving them a graphic visual with red and green. We're giving them blocks that are developmentally appropriate to help them learn how to space their letters. And we're using our friends Max and Alfie to give instructions that are action oriented. Straight lines or zips, diagonals or zooms, and curves or buzzes, and you hop across the page. So all of these pieces work together. But the cool part about the Fundanoodle program is that you can pull out what you need for exactly where your child is. It's great to go from start to finish, but you can also say, hey, I am really struggling with hand strength. And so we would focus you on a pounding kit or these magnets. And then here's a closer look at what our pages look like when a child is writing. This gives them the opportunity to understand universally where green and red, what go and stop means. We give them multiple practice opportunities. So a page like this may take multiple days for a child, because we're not asking you, to this is not work or hammering home. We're asking 5-10 minutes a day is what you spend on this. And they might do 2 or 3 letters on each line, but they're progressing. They're seeing here, let me just keep my letter in the box. And then in the next line, they're starting to learn, okay, I'm starting at the top when I'm writing these letters. Then we take away that cheater help, and then we move them down to where they are writing without the boxes. So one of the things that we will leave with you with this presentation is, looking at some classroom success stories, and because one of the things I want you to take away as a mom and understanding how this product can fit into your life is that how it's used in the classroom. And we aren't looked at per se as curriculum. We're a toolkit for these teachers to bring out in the time that a child needs a break or they need some fun time and some sensory. So they're really looking at things like, here's a great example. There's an ample amount of space for each letter when they write. I've used other writing pages and the lines are too tight for the students and their little hands. And then of course, kids love Max and Alfie. Here they incorporate the muscle movement and daily movement. So you can incorporate those muscle movers when you need your child to get the wiggles out. So maybe right before dinner, or any other time they need to be quiet. Here we're thinking about, and this one, people are seeing that using these products are really helping children identify and form letters more quickly. And the reason it is because we're spending so much time in that pre-pencil place. We're spending time with our floor pads and our activity pads doing exercises that improve the visual perception, doing things that are teaching a child how to draw that straight line without tying it to a letter. We're doing things with our muscle movers and our pounding kit and our letter magnets where we're visually and cognitively thinking about how to build a letter with a magnet, or how to pound out a letter. And that's helping us. So when we finally do put the pencil in our hand, it moves so much quicker and is so much easier for a child. I think when you're looking at how children progress, using these, the other thing that's awesome in a classroom environment that you can replicate at home is this piece here. It's also taught my students social skills because they had to share, take turns, and communicate. One of the things I love most about our products is that they can be extremely interactive. So they're a wonderful way for you to work with your child, for a grandparent to interact, because it's play-based learning. But they're also, as a child progresses and they kind of get introduced to it, it's a very independent learning activity. But if you have multiple little learners in your house, it's something that they can learn to do together. And I have seen over and over and heard over and over again from parents that they were going to buy 2 pounding kits and they just bought one, and it really helped teach their children how to take turns and how to share. There. And then I think when you're looking at some of the other kind of success stories here, I think the writing on the line paper, when you're looking at options for your child to practice, we are one more way for you to help make sure that your children are ready to learn and that they're ready to go to school. We are an opportunity for you to bring something into your home that doesn't look like it's academic. It doesn't feel like work to the child. And for a matter of fact, when we do this at home with these letters, we call it, let's do our letter puzzles. Let's build our letter puzzles. Not, let's go practice writing our letters. It's let's build our letter puzzles. And then once she's built it, then it's even cooler to say, okay, well, let's write it. And look, here, I've got a bunch of dry erase markers in different colors. So why don't you write it matching up? So that's just kind of an overview, giving you some heads up on some of our products and how they connect. Again, I don't want this to be intimidating for anyone for being very technical, and I will always say, put my hand up, that I am not an OT. I am not a teacher. I have immersed myself in this for the last several years because I've seen how impactful this product can be for children across the board. These products and these skills have been developed extremely well with children who are developing and meeting their typical milestones, as well as for children who might be struggling a little or who are on the spectrum. So I am going to take a second and see and move over here and change this to Q&A mode to see if
All
anyone has any
attendees are
questions.
muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
And in general, most of the time people don't have questions. I understand not wanting to ask, but we will make sure that we will have this out. And for those of you who attended, we'll be able to email you my contact information. So if you have any specific questions about our products, we can answer that for you. And one of the last things, closing here on this, what I would say is I cannot reiterate how important I think it is for you as a parent to understand that teaching a child how to write is typically frustrating, is what we hear. But you have to kind of step away from that and say, okay, if it's been a frustrating experience, what can we do to make it fun? How can we help a child want to learn? And that's where we come in. That's what we do. Our products are designed to be fun. Quite honestly, we did not design these products to go into a classroom. They have found their way into a classroom by teachers who were looking for something that would make a difference, looking for something that kids would engage with. We were designed to be used by parents. So when you get the product, it's very easy. There's not pages of instructions or things you have to follow. It's really something that you can open up and start using immediately with your child. But what you should walk away from this is understanding that when you're doing this with your child, it's going to be fun and it's going to be engaging, but there is so much thought that has gone in on the back end from the pediatric occupational community and the early education community to make sure that all these things that need to happen for your child to be developmentally ready for school, all of them have been designed into these products without you having to even think about it. All you have to do is enjoy how much fun your children's having and how engaged that they are. So I thank you so much for your time tonight. Again, we'll send out my email if anyone has any specific questions, but I hope you will turn to us, to Fundanoodle, and find some tools that help your little learners play the right way. Thank you so much.